It is Wednesday, May 21st, and today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about and tap for feeling unlovable in the world and feeling more comfortable inside of our own skin. Welcome to Wednesdays with Gene. I am the eponymous Gene Montrestelli. We get together every single Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, do a little tapping, do a little teaching, just connect with other tappers from around the world. These sessions are sponsored by the Tapping Mastery Academy, which is an approach for you to get the most out of tapping every single time you sit down to tap. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to spend some time talking about and tapping for feeling lovable and how hard it is for us to reckon with that. But before we jump in, as always, what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of moments and we're just going to do a little bit of wordless tapping. Just take a nice big deep breath, feel yourself into your body. And for the next 90 seconds or so, all I want you to do is just move from tapping point to tapping point and just pay attention. Notice what's there. Just be present to what's going on. And as I scan my body, I always want to make sure I get past my hips. As I'm sitting here, I forget to do that sometimes. Oh, big stretch, move, maybe shake it off, have a little sip of water. Maybe as you did that, there was a to-do that showed up, something that came popping into your head. Make sure you write that down. When I have ideas like that pass through my head, one of the things that I often think about is the fact that, I need to remember that. And an hour and a half later, the only thing I remembered is there's something I wanted to remember, and I can't remember what that thing is. So any insight that came forward as you were tapping right there, make sure you jot that down. So before we jump in, just a couple quick announcements. Let's take a quick look at the calendar. Next week, what we're going to do at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, we're going to be tapping for guilt and regret from the past mistakes that we've made. When we get caught in that guilt and regret, we stay stuck in the past. We do not move forward. So we're going to do a bunch of tapping and share a little process with you as we navigate our way through that. On June 2nd, we're starting the next round of the Upper Limit Busters. It's one of my favorite programs. If you're on my mailing list, keep an eye out. Announcement is going to be coming later today, so you can join us for that. If you're not in the mailing list, go to tappingqna.com. Just enter your email address. You get announcements for things like this, as well as everything that we have coming. And mark your calendar. It is coming faster than we can imagine. We are, We're 58 days out from this year's 24 hours of tapping. We're just in the process of getting the schedule put together. Mark your calendar for that. If you go to 24hoursoftapping.com, you can sign up for all of the information for that. I just want to thank folks who have checked in. We got folks checking in from Wyoming and Nevada and Utah and Pennsylvania. Feel free to say hi in the chat box. Let us know where you are joining us from. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do some tapping around feeling lovable. And there are a couple of things that even those of us who like to do transformation are willing to invest and willing to step into things. There are some issues that are really, really hard for us to tune into and to connect with. One of them, for example, is loneliness. I learned when I was living in Washington, D.C., we lived in this big row house and I had a number of roommates. And so from time to time, we would throw parties. And I like hosting parties and I like being around the people that I love. And I love taking care of people in that particular way. And I also am not a person who's going to stay up all night. And so at a certain point, what I needed to do is I needed to clear my house out so I could clean up and I could climb into bed. And so instead of shooing people out the door like an ungrateful host, I would remove people from my house in a much more surreptitious way. What I would do is I would just join a conversation of 3 or 4 people chatting. And over the course of 2 or 3 minutes, I would turn the conversation to loneliness. And loneliness is so gross feeling that it is like a disease that you're afraid you're going to catch. Like even if you're not feeling lonely, just the mention of loneliness is going to cause you to flee because you don't want to catch it. And so what would happen is I would bring the topic around to loneliness, making everybody I was talking to feeling uncomfortable, natural conversation, but still not something. And so they would decide to leave. Then I would move on to the next group of people and I would do the exact same thing. And after 2 groups of people broke up and walk out the door, it starts to feel like the party is ending. And so within 15 or 20 minutes, I could clear my house very, very easy because no one wanted to touch the sense of loneliness. Having conversations and engaging with the idea around feeling lovable, I think is very, very, very similar. In my client work, I get the opportunity all the time to hear people say things like, I've never said this out loud before. I've never told anybody this before. And it's really humbling and it's really amazing to be in those circumstances. But even in a circumstance where people feel safe to share things out loud that they have never said out loud, admitting that we don't feel lovable is one of those things that it's even hard to say out loud in that sort of safe setting. And the reason I think that is the case is at a very, very, very base level, we want and need to be accepted. Because at some point in our history, 5, 6, 10,000 years ago, we were in these little tribal groups, and the tribe was necessary for survival. Not a nice thing, not a good thing, a necessity. In every single way, it was essential for us to have. And so because of that, we are wanting to be in a situation where we are connected in that particular way. And so that is the reason why we do things, because it is the rule. It's what we're supposed to do. And as I think about it, like in a community, the first level into a community is being welcomed into that community. The second level is being accepted by the community. The third and deepest level is I am loved by that particular community. And the furthest we get away from that sense of being lovable, the more perilous, the more dangerous it can feel for us on an emotional level. And because that's the case, it's really hard sometimes to lean in and recognize and address that particular fear, because there's a part of us that thinks that if I look directly into this, it's kind of like looking directly into the sun. It's something that's going to be painful to do just to look at it, even before we start to respond to it. So what I want to do is I just want to do a bunch of rounds of tapping today around acknowledging the fear of not being lovable, the reasons why we think we might not be lovable, and to do a little tapping to reinforce that. And this is one of those things where more than likely, the tapping that we are going to do today, no matter how powerful it is, no matter how transformative it is, the sense of feeling acceptable and lovable to ourselves and to others is something that is so big and profound no matter how great the tapping is today, it's probably going to be insufficient in being able to take care of an issue like this. So, this is one of those things that tracking your tapping is super, super valuable. Tracking the insights that you have and capturing those, tracking the tail enders that come up and keeping an eye on them as well. That's the reason why I've created a little tapping tracker. This is mirrored exactly off of the way that I track my tapping every single day. It is free. We got a 30-day version, a 90-day version, a PDF version, a Word version that you can type right into. All you need to do is go to tappingtracker.com and I will send you those trackers absolutely free, no obligation at all. So, just important as we navigate our way through that. So if you don't have the tapping tracker, make sure you got a piece of paper and a pen close by, or since we're at the computer, maybe you'll open up like a little text document or an email to yourself. So as things come up, you can just type them in and capture them as we're working our way through this. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to just do a little tapping around the fear of engaging with this issue at all. So everybody just tap on the side of the hand. Just take a nice, easy, deep breath. And just move from tapping point to tapping point, repeating after me. If you can do it out loud, if it's safe for you to do that, do exactly that. And if you have to do it in your head, that's okay as well. But just be present to that. Just move from point to point. I recognize the fact that there is me at a very deep level that is afraid to look at and ponder whether or not I feel lovable. And the reason that this is so scary is because I'm afraid of what the answer might be. And so I give myself permission to recognize it makes so much sense that there is a part of me that is afraid to even look at this issue. That there is a part of me that is afraid to go there. And I give myself permission to be gentle with myself as I engage and entertain the possibility of being able to think about the fears that I have around lovability and acceptability. I give myself permission to know it is okay to be afraid to even think about this issue. It is okay to feel tender about this issue. It is okay to be scared to tap on this issue. Because there's a part of me that is just trying to keep me safe by keeping me away from what is scary. Because it is no fun to even entertain the possibility that I might not be lovable or acceptable. I give myself permission to be gentle with myself as I engage with this work. Nice big deep breath. Again, just tune in and notice what is still popping around in there. Tune in. What came bubbling up as we were doing that? What are the fears? What are the concerns? What part feels unsafe? What part feels overwhelming? Jot those down. You want to share those in the chat box? We can tap on them a little bit. That would be great. But what's more important is that you type into a little note to yourself that you write down so you don't lose those things. Let's see if anything's showing up in the chat box. Ooh, we got folks joining us from Ireland and South Africa. Welcome to you all as well. Just give yourself permission as we engage with this to recognize where we are and how we're engaging with everything that is in front of us. And don't feel rushed as you're jotting down information, you're grabbing those ideas. So I have here just a couple of, as I was brainstorming and tuning into my own concerns about feeling lovable, brainstorming ideas before we started tapping today. It's too late. I'm not like others. I am too broken. I have made too many mistakes. So what we're going to do is we're just going to spend some time going after some of those. So just take a nice easy breath once again. And tune back into that sense of just feeling lovable. And the fear that you might not be. Tap on the side of the hand. I just move from point to point. I recognize the facts that there is a part of me, not all of me, but there is a part of me that fundamentally feels broken. There is a part of me who fundamentally feels like I am so broken that is the only thing others are going to notice. They're going to notice my imperfections. They're going to notice my insecurities. They're going to notice my worries. They're going to notice my smallness. They're going to notice my mistakes. They're going to notice my failures. And that is all they're going to see. That these deficiencies in me are so big, are so glaring, that others will define me by them. I give myself permission to know it is possible for me to know that I am not defined by the way that I have failed in the past. I am not defined by my imperfections. I am not defined by my incompleteness. To be imperfect is to be human. To be unfinished is to be human. And I recognize the fact it is possible for me to accept myself for who I am. And to know that there are people in the world who can do that as well. I give myself permission to recognize it is possible for me to see myself as lovable. It is possible for me to recognize that it is not too late. It is possible for me to recognize that I am not stuck. To recognize that I am not defined by my fear of how lovable I am. I give myself permission to know I can be imperfect and be welcomed. I can be flawed and be accepted. I can be in process and be lovable. Nice, easy breath. Again, take a moment or two, jot down the things that came up, jot down the ideas, jot down the concerns, jot down the tail enders that showed up, but also make sure you jot down the insights. I'm sure that there was a phrase or two in there, or we said a phrase and then your subconscious mind followed up with something that you need to hear again about who you are, about how acceptable, about how you are lovable, how it's possible to believe that you are lovable. Capture those things. You know, the tail enders we're going to capture so we can tap on them again. The insights we're going to capture so we can keep to reinforce them. And again, feel free to drop some of those insights and those things into the chat box as we do this. Oh, we got folks checking in from Italy and Cape Cod. Thanks for saying hi. I feel unacceptable and unlovable because the feedback I have from the external world. So I'm trying out to figure out how to live with that in peace. Yeah, there's this interesting tension that our subconscious mind takes where we get feedback like, Interesting enough, I was in my inbox this morning and I was looking through comments that I get for these live streams and my other videos, and there just happened to be 3 of them that came in overnight that were like questioning my sanity and questioning my work and wondering what was going on as they're responding to what's there. And so it's hard because, one of my favorite things to tap on is this idea that there's no such thing as people. And what I mean by that is that so often we say, people believe, people don't accept me. And the reality is, people is a collective noun for a bunch of individuals. As a world, as a society, as a culture, as 8 billion people, we cannot agree on the fact that the fact, and I say this, the fact that the world is round. And because we cannot agree on that particular fact, there's nothing that we are going to do that every single person is going to appreciate. And it's hard when we get that negative feedback. It's hard when we have people pushing back on us and questioning and commenting and demeaning. But it's also important for us to recognize that that is not who we are, and that is not what everybody thinks. It's the experience we're having in that moment. So tap on the side of the hand, take a nice big deep breath. And again, just move from point to point. I recognize the fact. It is okay for me to believe that someday I will see that I can feel and be lovable. I give myself permission to know that there is a part of me that already knows that I am lovable. And that part might be still. And that part might be so quiet. It is barely speaking with a whisper. I give myself permission to be gentle with myself and take that still small voice that knows that I am lovable and to encourage it and to reinforce it. I give myself permission to know that it is okay for me to believe that I am lovable. I give myself permission to trust that I am lovable. I give myself permission to be open to the possibility that someday, in a heartfelt way, I will be able to accept and embrace the fact I am lovable. Even if I can't do that today. Even if that feels like it's a long way off. I give myself permission to be gentle with myself as I engage and struggle with my sense of feeling lovable. Nice big deep breath. Again, big stretch. There might be things in there that you want to grab, that you want to come back and tap on again. Write those things down. Grab the insights. Grab the pieces that are tail enders, things that you want to tap on your own later. Maybe if you're working with a practitioner, you can take it to a practitioner or a tapping buddy or whatever that is. That's good and useful. Oh, it's good to see you guys taking care of each other in the chat box, sharing experience. I want you to know, Gene, that you are loved and appreciated even when you're not on screen serving others. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It is always nice to be reinforced and confirmed inside of all of that. So this is something that it's really hard to navigate the world in a sense of growth, in a sense of transformation, if we don't believe that we're lovable and we're acceptable, because we don't want to take more than our fair share. We don't want to get an inflated sense of ourselves only to have it popped. We don't want to get invested in something only to have it ripped away. Sometimes it's more comfortable not to believe than it is to believe and to have that dashed. So this is one of these issues that I think is super, super, super valuable for you to come back to, tap on it again and again. So take the notes from today. Make a plan to tap on that again. Maybe the plan simply is to come back and just tap through the 25 minutes of tapping that we've done today. It's going to live here on YouTube forever. The moment we are done, the replay is available so you can go back and tap on that again. So that is just a little bit of tapping. And I say just a little bit because there's so much work inside of that on tapping for that sense of feeling lovable and connected. So just a couple of quick notes for you. Number one, Tapping Q&A podcast, episode 662 is going live later this afternoon. No, it's going live tomorrow morning. Go to tappingpodcast.com to embrace all of the goodness that is waiting there for you. I think we're over 200 hours of tapping and tap-alongs and interviews with some of the best people in the world. Go check that out. The other thing is, if you'd like to join us in the Tapping Mastery Academy, we do 2 hours of training every single month. We have 6 hours of question and answer and group tapping, and you have access to the entire archive just waiting there for you. All you need to do is go to tappingqa.com/TMA to join us for all of that goodness. So wherever you are in the world, if you've been joining us live, if you've been joining us after the fact, thank you very much for hanging out with me today and tapping along with this absolutely amazing community. If you're watching this after the fact on the screen right now, you will see a playlist of all the past Wednesdays with Gene. This is episode 23. We've been doing this since December. We're going to be here every Wednesday at 11 a.m. for the rest of the calendar year. I look forward to seeing you next week at 11 a.m. Eastern Time or on a replay. I hope you have an awesome day. I'll talk to you guys real soon. Bye-bye.